This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome in, everybody, to this week's episode of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Adam the Jock Strozinski. On today's show, Tony Khan gives an update on All In 2026. Cody Rhodes could be joining Roman Reigns on the big screen, and we've got a Britt Baker update. This is your All In Texas go-home show for AEW. We're going to give you a preview of that massive pay-per-view, as well as we weren't here last week. We had some scheduling conflicts, took a little time off for the 4th. We've got to give our thoughts on Night of Champions and what we're pushing towards with a very hectic WWE weekend. Lots and lots and lots of premium live events and programming. Helping me break it all down, sort it all out. He's the one. He's the only. He is the mouth of Macomb. He's the one. He's the only. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
My goodness, cuz there's so much going on with Evolution, Saturday night's main event, All In. WWE is just like, if AEW is doing a show, we're doing a show, and we're not going to stop. And everybody's just talking about it nonstop. It's crazy to think about how much wrestling is going down. Man, good stuff all the way around. On the road to SummerSlam, WWE is building steadily their programs. AEW did a good job, in my opinion, of setting up their biggest pay-per-view. Now the biggest thing is you better, and we're going to preview it later on, you better pay it off in the main event. Because if you don't, you might end up really crushing the momentum of the company. But Night of Champions, I know we missed last week for the holiday. We wanted some time off. The scheduling was all over the place as my kids have birthdays and we're celebrating on the Saturday. So thank you guys for your patience as we now get into Night of Champions. Look, cuz I thought it was just a basic show. You know, it's one of those deals where it's really the Saudis get the best of the best, but in the end, it had the feel to me, you know, when I saw it. I love the fact that Karrion Kross got on, and I thought it was a good match with Sami Zayn. Love seeing Rhea Ripley. The spot on the table was a spot of the year candidate, but I just find it crazy that they continue to overbook the main event over and over and over and over again. Okay, once a year you want to have it like you did at WrestleMania 40, where all these people come in. It just feels like WWE said, oh, we like that. People like that, so let's just keep doing it. To do it again in Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton was crazy. I don't know. I thought it was crazy to see John Cena, the CM Punk match, get wild like that too. So it's just one of those deals where I just feel like there's some overbooking going on, especially in the main event. John Cena, CM Punk was wild all the way through. You knew it would be. But I just thought it was typical, but there were some good things to talk about.
Yeah, I thought it was a very B-level pay-per-view, right? And I feel like WWE will take these smaller pay-per-views, and they generally do a really good job with them. And I thought this one was done well. I don't think it was a pay-per-view that you necessarily needed to go out of your way to see. I thought the changing of the title between Jacob Fatu and Solo was interesting. You got a new debut of a new Bloodline member. So that finally got paid off. But overall, I don't think we thought John Cena was losing the title. I thought the tease for Seth Rollins coming in to possibly cash in, I thought that was interesting. But when you break it all down, again, you don't have to go out of your way to see this program, to see this pay-per-view. I thought it was good enough. I thought it was done well enough. And I think it helped set up what you kind of got coming down the road. I think the big interesting thing that really came out of Night of Champions and then kind of what has spilled over in the following week was Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross seemed to be so incredibly over at that Saudi show, and you factor in that he was going up against Sami Zayn. That was absolutely crazy. And then after that match, him and Scarlett both kind of tweet out some very cryptic messaging where you're like, okay, so is he not signing a new contract? Is he going someplace else? Only to come back on Monday Night Raw and you have the crowd chanting for him as he annihilates Sami Zayn with a lead pipe, kind of gets thrown out of the building. to basically come back and have a segment with Jackie Redden where you can hear the crowd chanting his name. He's incredibly over right now. And I'm not sure if this is part of him building on what he did post WrestleMania, where he did a very work shoot promo / interview, and that got a lot of traction online, and it really helped put a little bit of a spotlight on him, or if this is just him really getting hot right now towards the back end of his contract. Do you think he stays with WWE? And if so, do you think we get the push for him because the crowd wants to see him? I can't remember a time where the crowd was this hot for him. You go back to his time in NXT. You go back to to when he first got called up to the main roster. Not so much when he was in that gimp suit, but when he first got called up, he was white hot. But I don't know if he's been this lusted for as he is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that he should stay. It's the biggest company in the world. You're just hitting 40. You got the next 5 years. I think that if there's an opportunity to get a push, a little bit of a title reign, I do think it's the biggest company in the world that will set him up for a lifetime. So I hope he does stay. I think that he now realizes, okay, that the work that he did has set him up for the long time. I think that the feud with Sami Zayn, that was great, where on Monday Night Raw, he's talking about, I'm just going to make you say I'm right. And it's a good feud. It's a great opportunity to get his character even more over, and the fans are chanting, "We want Cross." So I think it's the best place for him. It's going to end up being good for him to get on. Sometimes luck hits you at the right time, and an injury maybe, or some wrestlers not wanting to go over there resulted in Karrion Kross getting a match on a PLE. That's a good sign. And let's see what happens moving forward. I was curious, because did you think Jade Cargill did okay by defeating Asuka? I think it was okay. It's not going to be one of those things where she's going to always have 5-star matches, but I think Jade Cargill, in regards to moving forward, you're now seeing the push as she is the queen of the ring.
Yeah, hey, look, here's the thing. I feel like specifically that match, where it was wedged in on the Night of Champions card and the amount of time that they were given to tell a story, I think just as it was starting to ramp up, you had the ending, right? It looks like it felt like it started a little bit clunky, started a little bit slow. And then as they kind of got into a bit of a groove, I felt like all of a sudden you were hitting the finish and you were going to the end. I felt like that match specifically needed a little bit more time, but I also think, like you said, she's not going to put on 5-star matches. I don't think she's a 5-star wrestler. I don't know if she has a 5-star match in her. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just telling you what it is. I don't think she's a good promo. I think that's getting refined and she's working on it. But I think she's got a 5-star look. And that's what you're paying for. So if you can somehow squeeze out a 3-star promo, you can squeeze out a 3.5, 4-star match, and she looks that way, WWE is going to put a belt on her, and they're going to try to make her look as strong as possible. And I think she's a genetic freak show. She's got a fantastic look about her. I'm not expecting her to put together these matches that we write home about and we're like, oh my God, this was absolutely awesome. But I think the more time she gets in that WWE system, and I think her getting put up against competition like an Asuka, you're going to get better matches out of her, and she's going to get better. And I think WWE will be happy with what they're getting from her. I think you can see the writings on the wall. She will be a star the longer she can stay in the system and the longer they can kind of craft stuff around her. I don't feel like she is this generational talent. I do kind of think things kind of have to be set up for her and kind of have to be laid out for her in order to really succeed the way that we expect her to succeed. All that being said, I think she's going to be fine enough. And I think her beating Asuka, look, you want to push her. She's got a fantastic look. You can do other things with Asuka. I feel like it's the right call. It's a fine call. We're going to see what's going to come of it and where it's going to go and where she's going to go. But at no point do I feel or do I expect her to be the best wrestler in that women's division, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if you think that's fair or not. I don't see it in her. Like I said, I feel like she's got a fantastic look. Like she's a freak show, bro. Like she is what I would pick up a magazine like a muscle and fitness magazine to buy because she's on the cover of it because she looks that damn good. And she's big, man. Like she's cut, she's ripped, she's tall. Like she looks every bit of 6 foot. I don't know if she actually is. Like you surprised me when you told me that Rhea Ripley was something like 5'7", 5'8", right? She might actually be 5'6". I don't know, but she wears those platform shoes. Jade Cargill's out there in wrestling boots, and I think she's just as tall as Rhea Ripley. And they make Rhea Ripley look like she's like 6 foot. So like she feels like she's bigger than life. Like she feels like she is a superhero type of physique. And like I said, if she can somehow parlay that into very average to above average matches, she's going to be okay. You know, again, promo skills are going to have to get refined, and I felt like what we've got from her recently with her promos has been much better than anything we ever got in AEW, and much better than anything she was doing when she was teaming with Bianca Belair. So I can see it, man. I can see it. I'm not sure. Like I said, do you feel like that's a fair assessment of what she's going to be?
Yeah, it feels like Triple H just has a thing for, really ripped women, and it's one of those deals where I don't think he cares if she can wrestle or not. It's like one of those deals where, are you an attraction? And I think that maybe that's one big noticeable difference between Triple H and Vince. Vince really cared about your work rate and your look and the total package. Can you mark it? And then he'd wear you to the ground. Triple H is like, okay, if you're if like you can have an entrance and we'll make do regarding your wrestling skills, because you hear the rumors of potentially a musician that's going to step in the ring. That's crazy. Yeah. That's craziness. That is not what we're used to. So
yeah, it sounds, for those who don't know, it sounds like Jelly Roll is going to be a main attraction at SummerSlam.
I don't know. It feels like one of those fake news that kind of spread around, but if
bro,
it does,
I can see it. I could see it, man. He had those choke slams at WrestleMania. Yeah. He's a guy who likes wrestling. He is, like you said, he is an attraction. And here's the thing: I don't even know if it's so much Triple H. I think this is a fantastic conversation. I'm glad you took it here. I don't even know if it's Triple H. I feel like this could be a lot of TKO influence. TKO wants everything so big. Yep. It's got to be marketing to the masses. You look at where WWE is now, and you look at kind of how they've got things structured. It's not so much marketing to the wrestling fan. Yes, the wrestling fan is part of their marketing program, but you've got advertisements all over the place, and you're trying to reach as broad of an audience, as big of an audience as possible. That's why you've got 47 different people who do Netflix shows in the arena at a time. They're cutting to them all the time. And so that way it'll go on USA Today, or not, USA Today. It'll go on Good Morning America. It goes on to all these other programs, these little snippets, and it's like, hey, this person was at WWE. Hey, this person was on WWE, and it's just a way to market more to the masses.
Exactly, it's very true, and I think that Triple H is not closed-minded to those kind of opportunities. Overall, give the pay-per-view a B-. What happened in calling the card?
Calling the card, you got the point. So congratulations. Yeah. You got it for Cody Rhodes match. Cody Rhodes ends up being your King of the Ring, beats Randy Orton. I had Randy Orton as the winner. So
B-. They got in, got out, and they're on their way on the road to SummerSlam.
Yeah, I do want to talk to you about this because I feel like this week in WWE, it felt very frenzied. It felt very frenetic. You have a lot of counter programming going on with AEW. We're going to talk about the All In pay-per-view. And I think AEW did a very smart thing with adjusting their start time for that pay-per-view. That start time is going to be at 3 p.m. for the All In pay-per-view. On Saturday night, you're going to have Saturday night main event, which will be taking place, I believe, at 7 o'clock on Peacock. On Sunday, you're going to have an NXT pay-per-view, and then you're going to have Evolution 2 taking place later on in the evening. So you've got like 3 things going on this week with WWE. I feel like, one, it's a lot of programming, and that's a lot of programming that you've got to build around, especially when we're seeing some NXT and some main roster crossing over. It kind of makes things tough to build for it. And you look specifically at Evolution 2, which at this moment in time really feels like it's a bit of an afterthought. I wanted to get your thoughts on kind of the way this week has kind of been paced out for WWE, and does it feel like they've maybe have loaded up too much with their counter programming, trying to impact AEW almost at the cost of their own programming and their own shows? They have basically stacked the card so high, and with so much stuff. I mean, they've built this Saturday night main event around Goldberg and Gunther. And then, like I said, you've got Evolution 2, where we might see Saraya, aka Paige, return. That's been something that's been rumored and speculated and kicked about. And then you have your NXT show, which is going to have a lot of different stuff going on. There's a lot of championships on the line. To me, it really does feel like they have kind of cut themselves at the knees trying to take a swipe at AEW.
For sure. That's what it is that you're on the road to SummerSlam and you have these counter shows that really, in the end, you could have sacrificed. You didn't need a Saturday night's main event to kind of go in this direction. Like, really, in the end, nobody wanted to see Goldberg and Gunther. But if it can kind of tie into SummerSlam at some point, I know that it does feel frenetic, but in the end, I do think it'll all end up weaving together. And it's what I think the fan base and the internet and you and I are kind of thinking is, we know WWE's at the top level of storytelling. They're the best of the best. Nobody's better. But when they get so frenetic, it's just like going just having Penta involved in a match with Seth Rollins. Like, that could have been a program. Like, that could be something very serious. Instead, it's just boom on there, and you understand that, yeah, he's fodder for Braun Breaker and all that kind of stuff, and it's interwoven. But we feel like that based on all these things, there's just too much. Like, you could have used the time to continue to build. And I think that since WrestleMania, it has been that way. Since WrestleMania, they haven't recovered from just the main event not working, and it's just things are being put together. And it's being put together at a frenetic pace. And I do think that in the end, they're counter-programming to get attention, and they want as much attention as possible. They view AEW as competition. They want their – and in lieu of them doing a lot less house shows, it's like you can't have those free nights, but I think that they can do better in regards to the stories that they're telling. Like, you could have just continued it just can be a longer extension of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. So that's where I think you and I agree, is that it has felt frenetic, yes, and it has kind of watered down stories that could be told in depth and much better had they not kind of gone this route of counter programming.
Yeah, I just feel like you could have spent a little bit more time building. You didn't have to put Evolution 2 here, right? Like, right. This should be a marquee moment for you. That was a monster pay-per-view for you years ago. And if you wanted to pay homage to it and you really wanted to do a good job with it, you didn't have to rush it, you know? And then the whole thing with, like, Saturday night's main event, I'm not really into this Bill Goldberg story. No. I'm not into, like, I'll be honest with you. The way you get me into this Bill Goldberg story is if he wins the title. Yeah. And like, this is supposed to be his last match. So like, I don't believe that he's winning the title. So I don't even care to watch this. So I just feel like you've done a really bad job of just kind of throwing stuff at the wall, trying to get people's attention and pull it away from what's going on with AEW. And that's why I think what AEW did was so incredibly smart by moving their start time, instead of it being a 7 p.m. start time, to it being a 3 p.m. start time. And you're going to have your hour pre-show where you have a couple matches, and then you're going to get right into it at 4 o'clock with your pay-per-view that we're going to give you a bit of a preview and give you our predictions for it here in a little bit. But I just feel like too much programming, too much counter programming has really taken away from this week's programming. And you can look as far as Monday Night Raw. To me, it really felt like you got a lot of mid-card guys getting a lot of time. Like, Braun Breaker got a lot of time. Bronson Reed got a lot of time. Karrion Kross got a lot of time. And that's cool, because I think those are building blocks for future shows that are coming down the line. But if you look at this week's programming from WWE, I don't really feel like it hit anything out of the park. It all just kind of felt, again, very mid. And it's just because I think you spread yourself a little bit too thin when you've got these other shows going on. What did you think of the overall programming from WWE this week? Did it feel like a lot of the mid-card guys got a little bit more time, which, again, not bad, because I feel like they're building blocks for things coming down the line. But overall, as shows go, I don't know if there's anything necessarily to write home about.
Right, exactly. It's just one of those deals where, and I did want to say one thing. When Penta did run in the match, he did, like, that didn't make no sense for him to do the walk. Like, you're trying to run in to help someone. And he's doing the penta walk on the
Dude, it's
pay-per-view.
like Jeff Hardy coming out to save his brother. He's got to do his whole gimmick at the top of the ramp before he gets down to save Matt. It's like, what are you
that was a
doing?
little
Just
bit
get down there and
weird,
save
but I was
Matt.
like, okay, you're trying to, you're getting yourself over. Hey, do it. I mean, the whole world wants to see you. That's one of your gimmicks. But I did like the match with Seth Rollins. I do see the tie there. You're absolutely right. And the one thing that's cute is that, the El Grande Americano, we now know it's Ludwig. It's hilarious.
Which is funny.
It's funny. He's trying to do it, but I just feel like it's beneath him. But hell, it's a fun gimmick. So I'm enjoying what they're doing with the Judgment Day. I'm enjoying what they're doing with the tag teams. And I think that, okay, yes, we do think that, you know what? Because there's going to be some programming upcoming that you can't get everybody in on all the shows. So why not feature some of the mid-card? I thought it worked well. Yes, it's frenetic, but it is good to feature some of the guys that you do have in the mid-card.
Yeah, again, I think it will pay dividends later on down the line. I think for right now, it's one of those things you maybe take a little bit of a hit. I don't think what we got this week from WWE programming was necessarily fantastic or anything to write home about, or if they even did a really good job selling what they've got going on for this weekend with all of their programming. But what I think you did get is I think you got little seeds for later on that are going to pay massive dividends when we get to SummerSlam, when we get a little bit further along the lines with what we've got going on with Seth Rollins, what we've got going on with Braun Breaker, what we've got going on with Bronson Reed. It feels as though they are setting up for a Braun Breaker face turn. Him taking the mic from Seth Rollins and going in and cutting his promo, and Seth kind of being there like, what are you doing? Like, I'm supposed to be the guy. I thought it was a really nice touch. And again, I think you will see the fruits of that later on as we go. You ready for this AEW All In pay-per-view? You want to get into what we've got? Because we've got another stat card from AEW. This one is not 15 matches long, thankfully. Right now, we enter the day with 8 matches. I'm assuming in their 0 hour, we're probably going to get 3 more matches where you're going to get a bunch of people on screen. But AEW All In Texas, it's going to be Saturday at 3 p.m. And look, I want to talk about that real quick. What do you think about them moving that start time to 3 p.m.? Like I said, I feel like it's really smart business. They were aware of WWE doing their counter programming. They were aware of what WWE was trying to do. And they said, you know what? Screw this. We got this. We're going to move our start time up. And again, 0 hour starts at 3. Show is going to kick off at 4. It'll be on Max or it'll be on pay-per-view. You can watch it any way you want. But I thought it was really, really intelligent for Tony Khan to make that addition, make that little move, because you want to go watch WWE, you've got time to. Go ahead. By the time this gets done, they should be probably into an hour. I don't know, how long is Saturday night's main event going to be? An hour, 2 hours? I think it's 2 hours. They should be through that first hour by the time this pay-per-view is wrapping up. If it goes the 5 hours that normal AEW programming goes when it's a pay-per-view. What did you think about that moving of the start time?
Yeah, it makes sense. You want everybody to get their time. I thought the build to the pay-per-view was great. I thought Adam Hangman Page made himself an investable character through his words. Will Ospreay, Okada, the build, MJF, the Hurt Syndicate, the Briscoe. You just realize, all right, man, everybody has gotten their time and everybody got an opportunity to tell their story. I do think that Mercedes Moné and Tony Storm are going to tell a legendary story in the ring, hopefully. And everything that's going to take place, I think, was put together well. And that's kind of how you want to do it. Okay, you want to tell some stories at the top, the 2 big events. Now everyone's talking about, okay, we need the payoffs. And AEW typically delivers with great matches. A couple of them are predictable, but in the end, it's great because I think the fans, this is going to be a celebration point and a kickoff point for the company if done right. And I think Tony Khan's going to book this super properly. So let's go. Let's get into it. I thought Dynamite Collision did a good enough job that if you just peeked in for the last couple of weeks, you say, wow, Omega Okada, big, huge babyface in Texas, is now pursuing the title. You have dream matches at certain spots. And I think everybody that's going to be on this card is going to deliver. Let's get into it. I'm excited to try and predict it and keep this momentum going with calling the card.
All right. We kick off the show with a 3-way tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. You got the Hurt Syndicate. You got Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin defending their titles against Jet Speed, Kevin Knight, and Speedball Mike Bailey, taking on the Patriarchy, Christian Cage and Nick Wayne. I think the Hurt Syndicate retains. And I think we're going to start to see the demise of the patriarchy. I think at some point we're building towards Christian Cage and Adam Copeland coming back together, where you're going to have Edge and Christian reuniting as a tag team. And I think this is going to be the spot where those seeds are laid. You've already seen a little bit of contention between Nick Wayne and Christian Cage. I think it builds in this match. It's going to cost the patriarchy. I think the Hurt Syndicate takes over. I think Jet Speed can lose, and I don't think they necessarily need to even be pinned in this match. So I think they kind of would be just almost not a net game, not a net loss. I think they just kind of stay the same. But I think the Hurt Syndicate, you build off of everything good that they're doing. I think you lay the seeds for what's going to happen with the dismantling of the patriarchy. I've got the Hurt Syndicate retaining.
Agree with you. Hurt Syndicate continuing to be over. It's great to see what they're going to be able to do. And I do think that it's great for a 50-year-old Shelton Benjamin to finally get a chance to be in the spotlight, as well as with Bobby Lashley.
Bro, he looks so good for being that old too. He was a fantastic wrestler back when he debuted, and he kind of got overshadowed because he was in a tag team with Brock Lesnar, and his mic skills, again, kind of Jade Cargill-esque, right? Like, wasn't ever gonna, captivate the mind with a promo, but the guy could just wrestle his ass off in a ring, and he looks fantastic. He's always looked fantastic. Absolutely incredible. All right, we've got a triple threat match for the AEW Trios Championship. We've got the Ops, Smojo, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Shibata taking on Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Gabe Kidd. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, no, right? It's I don't know. It always feels like, Claudio Castagnoli they've been getting the best of it a little bit, but they've gone back and forth. The Ops are there doing their thing, so it's interesting to kind of see how this is going to play out, but give me Will Hobbs and the big man handling some business.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Ops as well. The funny thing is, Hook kind of came back, and then you haven't really seen a whole lot of Hook lately. Could maybe play a part in this. I don't know. All that being said, I'm going to go with the Ops as well, and I think they retain. I think this has been a really nice comeback for Samoa Joe. No reason to stop now. Also, if what happens in the main event is what we want to happen in the main event, I don't think there's any real reason for Claudio or Wheeler or Gabe Kidd to be holding a title. I think you could set something up where these guys are now chasing, and I think it may be a more interesting story. We'll get to that a little bit later on, though. We next have a singles match for the AEW TNT Championship. Adam Cole taking on Kyle Fletcher. I could make the case for Adam Cole retaining this belt, but what I would tell you is, since he's had this belt, I almost feel like this belt has been forgotten about. I forgot he was the AEW TNT champion. I don't think he's had a signature match. I don't think there's been anything that has been awesome about him holding the belt. I think it's time for a change. I think Kyle Fletcher becomes your new AEW TNT champion, and I could see I could see there being a little bit of outside interference with everything that goes on with Don Callis and the Don Callis family. So I've got Kyle Fletcher winning this belt.
I got Adam Cole. I think that's exactly the whole point, is that he's got to make this belt believable, relevant, and that's one way to do it, is to keep the belt. So great match. Adam Cole, baby. I think that you're absolutely right. When I looked at the card, I said, okay, they did a good job building the card, except for maybe this feud could have been done a lot better with vignettes, promos. The entire package was done, but I think could have been done more to get more impact. And I just think that they've been overshadowed a little bit over the last couple of weeks. But Adam Cole, I think, gets a W.
All right. Next, we've got our tag team match. This is going to be Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland taking on the Young Bucks. Now, if Ospreay and Strickland lose, they'll be unable to challenge for the AEW World Championship for 1 year. However, if the Young Bucks lose, they'll be stripped of their executive vice president titles. How do you think this one plays out? Because I feel like you can make a case either way, which makes this absolutely fantastic. It makes this for a match that you would pay to watch, which you need these on the card. This is one of those signature matches.
Yeah, no doubt. Because of it's clear you're not going to have a year go by without Will Ospreay. I think people want to see the EVP titles be stripped from the Young Bucks. So this one I think is the easiest to predict. I think that Will Ospreay is going to get the W, and I just would be shocked if they continue to not have Swerve and Ospreay get main event level caliber feuds.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like you can go either way with this, right? Again, you have to remember it's the Young Bucks. There could be outside interference. You never really know if they're going to try to strengthen their ranks and they're going to pull somebody else in. Remember, you've got Forbidden Door coming up. It's on the horizon. You could have some old Bullet Club members coming over from New Japan. Could be a way to kind of work them in and then build towards that event that's on down the road. All that being said, I think Ospreay and Strickland winning this match, I think it makes for a much more interesting story as we go along. If they do lose, I could see Strickland being upset at Will and those guys going back and forth and having bangers of matches, because remember, Strickland didn't even really want to sign up for not being able to challenge for the title for a year. But I think these two guys overall are going to play a very important part in what we're going to get in the main event. So all that being said, I'm going to go Ospreay and Strickland as well, getting the win here. All right, next we've got our women's casino gauntlet match for a future AEW women's world title match. It's going to be Chris Statlander, Megan Bayne. Those are the two that we know right now. It's going to be 19 other women who are competing for a future AEW women's championship match opportunity. If you get this right, because we don't know who the other 19 competitors are at this point, if you get it right, you get an extra point. So you get a couple bonus points here if you can nail it. I do want to talk about Megan Bayne real quick. You and I are both fans of her. We both think she has a fantastic look. We both think she's built like a brick shithouse, incredibly powerful. Watching her match this week, I felt like it was a little bit sloppy. And watching her matches a couple weeks ago, I felt like they were a little bit sloppy. I want to get your thoughts on what you think Megan Bayne is at this point, because I feel like she's got a really good look. She doesn't really ever talk on the stick. Like, her promos have been really limited. I guess that's the whole reason for Penelope Ford being there. And I feel like in the ring, it's very hit or miss. I don't think she ever hits it out of the park. I think she might get a triple. And there's other times where she's striking out. And to me, she feels kind of like she's more the Caucasian version of Jade Cargill. What Jade Cargill was in AEW. I think Megan Bayne's probably a little bit more well-rounded in the ring than Jade was. I felt like Jade was very, very rough when she was in AEW. I think Megan's a little bit further ahead. But all that being said, it's a little uneven when you see her in the ring. I wanted to get your thoughts on what you think of what she's been doing on AEW screens.
Yeah, it feels like she's been kind of riding on the coattails of like feeling good that she got a push, but I do think she needs to do a lot more. It's weird. I am of the opinion that you just similar to you, that she could do so much better if she was able to kind of clean up the little bit of stuff in the ring. It's got to be the total package, on the mic, in the ring, and your presentation. Right now, she's got great presentation. People want to look at her, but now you got to pay it off. And in my humble opinion, I think that the push has got to continue. I think my winner is Willow Nightingale.
Ooh, I like that. I do like that. Earlier in the week, when I was thinking about who could win this match, she was one that I had thought of, and I was like, Willow could win this. That being said, I would like to see Thekla win. I think Thekla is interesting. She just missed out on winning that gauntlet match, that fatal 4-way to get the number 2 seed to get in there and face Chris Statlander as the number 1 seed. So I'm gonna go Thekla. Again, kind of a crapshoot. You got 21 competitors in this match, so anybody can win. So you got Willow, I got Thekla. We then move to the men's casino gauntlet match for a future AEW World Championship match. Mark Briscoe's number 1, MJF is number 2. You're going to have Bandito, Brody King, Mystico, and Ricochet are all announced as entrants, as well as 15 other competitors vying for that AEW World Heavyweight Championship match later on down the road. Who do you think wins this? Because again, just throw a dart at a board and pick a name, and maybe you'll be lucky.
Right? It's going to be crazy. I was a little bit surprised that, little bit surprised that MJF is going to be in that early, but it's going to be tough. I think some of the clear favorites maybe is Ricochet, get him a chance, but what the heck? Let's just try to go outside the box. You know, all right, I'm just going to go Brody King. I think he's got a chance to potentially be a surprise. Ricochet, I think, is probably the odds-on favorite along with MJF. But let's do something of a surprise. Maybe there can be a hard-hitting program that can take place with somebody that I feel like I feel like the women get the surefire and the men, but it could also be flipped, where the women maybe get someone like Athena that's more of an established person too. But I'm just going to go outside the box. I'm going to say Brody King.
All right, so MJF, Mark Briscoe, I'm automatically taking them off the board. They're set for a long-term program that's coming. So they're not even able to win this because they're going to be locked up with each other. I wanted to go Brody King. You took Brody King. I wanted to go Brody King. I'm going to go way off the board here. I'm going to go with the guy that we have mentioned in the past, but we haven't seen him for a very long time. And I don't even know if he's even able to compete right now, if he's in shape to compete. I'm going to go with Darby Allin. Okay. I think maybe Darby makes his return and maybe he gets the win. A little bit unpredictable. Not really sure. I could see a big pop for the fans. I'm going to go Darby Allin. I don't know. I have no idea. I wanted to go Brody King, but you took Brody King, so I'm going to go in a different spot than you did, and I'm going to take Darby Allin. All right, next match. This is supposed to be a winner-take-all, unify the AEW Continental Championship, the AEW International Championship into the inaugural AEW Unified Championship. I want to read this quote to you because this frustrates me, and I want to get your thoughts. So Tony Khan did a little bit of an interview, and this is what he said. He said, "I've never said that I'm retiring the championships. The unified AEW championship is something that is new to us. Never before have two AEW singles championships been held by the same wrestler at the same time. It's something very new. We're very proud of what we've built with the international championship. We're very proud of what we built with the Continental Championship, which is most closely identified with the incredible Continental Classic tournament, which has been one of the real strong points of AEW in the past few years. And now, with AEW having such an awesome 2025, I feel so great about what we've done through the first 6 months of this year, and the Continental Classic is always something our fans now have to look forward to. So to think that we're having such a great start to the year, we're going to have a great All In this weekend, and then we'll have an awesome Continental Classic to look forward to later in the year. There's a lot of excitement around this year, and the Continental Classic will absolutely be back, and I'm going to talk more about that as we get later into the year and what's that's going to entail. But there will always be a Continental Classic, and I think the lineage of the Unified Championship would be intact with the International Championship and the Continental Championship. I created one unified championship to represent not only the significance of this match, the winner-take-all nature that there will be someone who's going to hold the international title and continental title, and there will be one person carrying the lineage of these two championships after this match. Yada, 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 yada. So basically what he's going on to say is that he never said that he's going to retire these two belts, that the winner could actually be carrying 3 belts. What? John, what?
That's crazy.
The hell?
I knew.
I don't know if you've seen. I don't know if you've seen on Collision. Scorpio Sky is back. He's with Christopher Daniels, and they're with Top Flight. And he goes on to basically name belt after belt after belt after belt after belt after belt for the men, and then he says we can even challenge for all the belts with the ladies. They have too many belts. Like, they have too many damn belts, bro. So now you're going to add another one to the mix, and you could have essentially Kenny Omega's belt collector gimmick all over again with him walking around with 3 belts. If they do not get rid of these 2 championship belts and just have it as one, I'm going to lose my mind. What are your thoughts on them having possibly 3 belts with one champion for all of that mess?
Yeah, let Kenny Omega have all 3 belts. Look, I think it's going to be a great match. My prediction is Kenny Omega wins. I think Okada is great, but it just feels like right now Omega's push is going to be, he's going to get, I think, the corporate backing here, and I think that it's good. And you have Okada do some heelish type things, but Omega overcomes.
Yeah, I think Kenny Omega, who is your international champion, beats Okada, who's your Continental Champion, and I think he gets the Unified Championship. And they have to get rid of these other two belts. Like, just retire them, put them someplace, hang them up. Bro, you only need the one belt. Let that person have it. Have the Continental Championship Classic thing you go on with that one belt. You don't need all these belts. We don't need to see it. We just don't want to see it. Our next match is a singles match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Timeless Toni Storm taking on Mercedes Moné. I thought we had a really nice promo between these two ladies. I don't think they've done a fantastic job sending this home for this final match, but I thought they did a really good job to help drum up some interest. I don't want to see Mercedes Moné win this. I want to see Toni Storm win this. I'm going to go Toni Storm. I don't know if that's going to be the case, though. I deep down in my heart, I believe Mercedes Moné is winning this.
Yeah, no, I have to go with what you're saying here in that Mercedes Moné is the $1 million star here. Arguably, people are saying she makes $10 million a year. And I do think that Tony's job is to make Mercedes look special. And all the hype you hear is, well, Mercedes is now the character that Sasha should have been. And so you need the clear-cut chase. Tony can have some great matches with her down the road. Other women can, dethrone her. But I think the opportunity presents itself that when Mercedes wins, Tony can make her into a star with the match that they could have. And then the next person, if it's next year or however long the run is, I think that Mercedes' job is then to make the next female star, whoever it may be that's on the rise, whether it be Willow or somebody else. But Mercedes Moné will be the champion with her 9 belts. And we will then have a nice stare-off where Mercedes comes out with 9 belts, Omega comes out with 4, and we can have a good time on the next episode of Dynamite. But I see Mercedes Moné winning it.
I will lose my mind.
Oh,
I'm going to be so upset if this is the case. All right, our main event, and this is the one that if you were thinking about buying the show, has you buying the show. Generally, when we watch these types of pay-per-views, we've got ways to watch them, and I don't usually pay for them. This is one of those pay-per-views, though, because of this specific match, I am really considering paying for the pay-per-view. You have your Texas Death Match for the AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley taking on Hangman Page. I think Swerve Strickland's going to play a major part in how this finishes. I want the end of the Death Riders. I want the end of Jon Moxley's control. I will tell you this much. It has been a bitch to get here, but the Death Riders have made me care about this AEW World Championship. So if this was Jon Moxley's end goal, it has worked. I need to tip my cap. As much as I bitched and complained, it has worked, and we're here now. And I think this is the moment for Hangman Page to get crowned. I'm picking Hangman Page. I feel like he is more mature now than he was years ago when he had his first shot at winning this title. I think he is a very interesting character. He's got many layers to him, and I think that's what helps him resonate with fans. I feel like the time is now. If it's not now, then when the hell is it? Hangman Page beats Jon Moxley.
absolutely. You have to pay it off. I think you'd end the company. You'd end all the momentum. People would actually hate. You would hate to AEW to the point where you turn it off if you don't pay it off. I think you don't make people wait. It's in Texas. It's the payoff. Kind of has a feeling of Cody Rhodes, kind of finishing the story, kind of rebuilding the brand of Adam Hangman Page. So this is the deal. Hangman Page wins it. The crowd goes home happy. Texas Deathmatch style is going to be crazy to see who's going to be involved. Sting, Darby Allin, friends, foes, Swerve. It's going to be all, maybe Bryan Danielson. Some crazy shit's going to go down. But in the end, 1, 2, 3, Adam Hangman Page is the new champ.
I like it. We take a quick look over everything. We both have the Hurt Syndicate retaining. We both have the Ops retaining their belts as well. I've got Kyle Fletcher being your new AEW TNT champion. You've got Adam Cole retaining. We both have Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland beating the Young Bucks. You've got Willow Nightingale winning the Casino Gauntlet match. I've got Thekla winning it. For the men, you've got Brody King winning it. I've got Darby Allin. Maybe if he's healthy, Eddie Kingston makes an appearance. It's another guy I was thinking of. If you pick the winner of the gauntlet match, you get a bonus point for calling the card. We both have Kenny Omega winning the Unified Championship. I've got Toni Storm retaining her women's championship. You've got Mercedes Moné becoming the new champ with 47 belts. And then we both have Hangman Page walking out the winner with the AEW World Championship. We take a look at calling the card. We are tied up at 4 apiece this week. You skip to the show of the week. I want to give it to Dynamite. I thought Dynamite did a really good job putting together a good show for this pay-per-view. I don't think they hit a home run with it, but I thought it was a much better program than what we've got from WWE this week.
No doubt about it. Dynamite was the show of the week. They've done a good enough job to get people invested and even add them to pay for the pay-per-view. It's going to be great to see and to recap next week. I'm ready for this week's professional wrestling news and notes. What made your list, cuz?
All right. AEW All In, coming off the heels of 2025 in our predictions. Tony Khan has already planning next year's pay-per-view. Speaking to the Rich Eisen show, Tony Khan revealed that AEW All In would return to London, England in 2026, saying it's going back to Wembley next year. Too, by the way. Coldplay had booked it this weekend out a year in advance. I can't wait to do Globe Life Field in Dallas and go back to Wembley next year. We put 81,000 fans in Wembley for AEW All In, and I can't wait to do it again next year. AEW All In takes place this Saturday, July 12th in Arlington, Texas. This is now its 3rd consecutive year as an AEW pay-per-view, with the first 2 taking place in London, England. Could Cody Rhodes be joining Roman Reigns on the big screen? Last week we had, or 2 weeks ago, we had the news that Roman Reigns had been cast to play Akuma in the upcoming live-action Street Fighter movie based on the video game. It seems that he may not be the only WWE star set to appear in the film. Per Nexus Point News, the 2025 King of the Ring winner Cody Rhodes may also be set for the role in the Street Fighter movie, with him in talks to play the role of Guile. Cody is set to make his next Hollywood appearance as part of the upcoming Naked Gun reboot. Street Fighter is set to film later this year. Also, really quickly, according to Fightful Select, former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Hiroki Goto of New Japan Pro Wrestling has also been cast in this movie, with Goto set to portray E Honda. So if you're a fan of the Street Fighter video game like I am, this could be a lot of fun and could be really, really cool to see some of your favorite wrestlers in the movie. Now, what's going on with Britt Baker and AEW? Well, we may have an update amid rumors that she's seeking an exit from the company. Earlier this month, Jonathan Coachman claimed that Baker was WWE bound on his Behind the Turnbuckle podcast. This was something that was later refuted by Fightful Select, with Baker signing a 5-year contract with AEW in 2021. Last week on Wrestling Observer Radio, both Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez weighed in with what they had heard regarding Baker's status. Addressing Coachman's claim, Meltzer said, "Coach said she's on her way. She wants to go to WWE. Nobody denies that to me, but nobody said anything of any note. I know people in AEW don't think there's anything to that, but we'll see." Alvarez then added that he has heard no new updates on Baker's potential AEW exit or her return to the company programming, saying, "I've heard she's still got time left on her deal, and there's been nothing new in terms of coming back and nothing new in terms of eminently leaving. So it appears nothing is going on right now." Baker missed almost a year of in-ring competition between the fall of 2023 and the summer of 2024, a time that she dealt with a heart issue, including suffering a mini stroke. This week, during a press conference for All In, Tony Khan addressed these rumors and denied that she has asked for her release. After a lot of word soup, he said, "But I think Britt's a great example of somebody that's very, very talented, and we could utilize an AEW in the right situation at the right time. Just like in pro sports, when you have some really talented people, they aren't necessarily starting every game at that point. Doesn't mean that they won't be starting in the future. It makes sense. I think it makes sense for me to look at AEW's roster like a sports team, and I'm trying to manage the minutes, but also the rotation. And we've done a really good job with the people we're focusing on right now, but that doesn't mean we can't focus on other people or rotate different people into the show going forward." Britt Baker's last appearance on AEW programming was back in November of 2024. She was supposed to have a program with Serena Deep, where Deep came out on the entrance ramp, and Britt Baker basically said, "Nobody cares. Nobody cares about you." And then Britt Baker went away, and nobody has seen Britt Baker since. So interesting. I'm gonna be honest with you, kind of reading between the lines. It seems like there's some interest with Britt Baker going to WWE, but it also seems like she's got some time left on her contract. And it seems like Tony Khan's not willing to let her go, at least not right now, not with what WWE's got going on with Evolution and SummerSlam. And there's a lot of big things coming up for WWE. And it doesn't sound like Tony Khan wants to give WWE any more ammo for their arsenal. So we'll see what takes place. But that's going to do it for this week's wrestling news and notes.
Make sure you follow Adam on Twitter/X at AdamRSTROZ. Follow us at Detroit Podcast. If you've agreed or disagreed with anything that we've said, let us know. If you think that we've totally botched the predictions, let us know what you think. Do you think, is anyone out there a Jon Moxley fan? Does anybody think that Darby Allin or somebody else should get the nod? Should Jon Moxley get another year and Will Ospreay be the next guy? I think that's crazy if you think that way, but let us know. We'll be paying attention to all things happening in the world of wrestling. It's a great, great time as SummerSlam is now approaching. Do you think Goldberg wins it? Maybe a cash-in happens? What craziness could happen? But I do think there's going to be a lot of talking points when Adam and I fire it up next time on the next great edition of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast.